progress has not produced happiness. I can understand it has produced happiness. You have lots of money, you are very happy. But we find from all our ashrams in our country that the rich foreigner is coming in droves. Puttaparthi Sai Baba's ashram is full of foreigners. Sri Sri Ravishankars, Ramdevs, Swami Dayanand Saraswatis. So many foreigners coming. Some of them are even taking the extreme step, like this richest Hollywood actress, Julia Roberts. She went to India and came back and became a Hindu. She made her husband also Hindu, her children also Hindu. Why? She said, because I want mental peace, and Hinduism is the only one that offers me how to get mental peace. Same thing happened with Stephen Jobs of the iPhone. Now I'm told that Brad Pitts and Julie something, Angelina Jolie. They are also declared that they are going to become Hindus. Why? You see, I remember when I came as a student for the first time to Harvard, my classmate asked me, how can you have Mahatma Gandhi as your leader? I mean, he was asking because Mahatma Gandhi was not alive when I came as a student here. He was assassinated in 1948. So I said, why? You mean in America he cannot be leader? He said, in America, if he came, we would put him in jail for indecent exposure. Because he had only a langoti, see, piece of cloth. That made me think, how is it that I asked the American, what about in our country, what should the leader look like? He said he should be very well dressed. His tie will be noticed, his shirt will be noticed, his coat will be noticed, everything will be noticed. Then I looked around and I said, all our sadhus go around in Mumbai, what about the rabbi in Israel is very well dressed. The Pope is extremely well dressed. The mullahs in Iran are very, very well dressed. It's only our country that the sadhu has the Bhagwan. And our leaders have the same, those days leaders like Jayaprakash and Mahatma Gandhi and all had very, simple dressing. That's where Sanatana Dharma comes. Brigu and Bhardwaja had a debate on how to structure society so that it becomes stable. And Brigu said, unless you decentralize power in a society, it can never be stable. Concentration of power will lead to destabilization. So, he said, Bhardwaj asked, which are the sources of power? So he said, knowledge, weapons, wealth, and land. These are the four sources of power. And therefore, nobody should have more than one of this. So those who have knowledge cannot have wealth, cannot have weapons, cannot have land. And they will have social status, like Mahatma Gandhi had. And they will be called Brahmins. Those who have weapons may rule, have a kingdom, but they cannot make policy. They cannot decide when to go to war. They cannot decide what punishment to give for crimes committed. It is those with the knowledge that he has to defer to. Nowhere else in the world you have this kind of monarchy. This is not a monarchy in that sense. In other countries, the monarchy was absolute power. Those who had wealth, there was nothing wrong with having wealth. But your social status did not depend on how much wealth you had. Your social status depended on how much philanthropy you did. Like Malhotra, he's given it all up. 44 he quit. He got 20 million. So I can declare him a Brahmin, even though his father and mother may not have been a Brahmin. In fact, it has nothing to do with birth. Vishwamitra was the Rishi of Rishis. His father and mother were Kshatriyas. Vedavyasa, who wrote your Mahabharata, his mother was a fisherwoman. Kalidasa was a hunter. The greatest poet we produced, Kalidasa, he was a poet, he was a hunter. And Valmiki wrote the Ramayana and he came from Dalit family. So where was it got birth? Brahmin supremacy. What about Ravan? Ravan was a Brahmin. This Karnanidhi did not know. This Dravida movement had raised Ravan to such heights that they even celebrated Ravan Leela, and they used to have names called Ravana because he was against Brahmins. So I asked Karnanidhi one day, how is he, Ravan was against Brahmins? He said, no, because Rama was Aryan. I said, Aryans are not necessarily Brahmins. No, only Brahmins can be Aryans. Then I asked him, then how come he said, we Dravidians, we are Shudras. Then I asked, how Rahul Dravid is a Brahmin then? He had no answer. Dravid was Adi Shankara had defined Dravid as South India. It's a sandhi of two words, Thra and Vid. Thra means three, Vid means coast. So, we are not being taught history properly. That's why I hope we can get a government, and the first thing we should do is kidnap Rajiv Malhotra, bring him and say, please write new history books for all our children so that they know exactly what. If he willingly goes, of course, they don't need to kidnap. So, therefore, I am saying to you that this is why we are the longest civilization in the world. And we have resisted all kinds of invasions. The Muslims went to Iran when it was 100% Zoroastrian. They took it over, within 15 years they became 100% Muslim. Babylon and Mesopotamia within 21 years became 100% Muslim. That's today's modern Iraq. Egypt in 17 years, 100% Muslim. Europe in 50 years became 100% Christian. Here we have 800 years of Muslim rule and 200 years of Christian rule, and you are still 80%. How can anybody say that we are all the time beaten by those who came from foreign countries? We, of course, our rules of warfare was not appropriate for these barbarians who came. One of the rules of warfare is that the battle will not start before sunrise, and it must terminate at sunset. And then you go back to your tent and go and have a sleep, and come back the next day. Another was that you will not fight in the fields, agricultural fields, you will not fight in the population centers. But in the open Maidan, like Kurukshetra, or when Ravan had to come out of his fort to challenge Rama. And the third thing is that if you, after losing the battle, you say, I'm sorry, everything is returned to you, and you're sent back with respect. So Muhammad Ghori came how many times? 16 times. 17th time he got collaboration from Chauhan, Prithviraj Chauhan's father-in-law, Jaichand, and he was able to win. So this kind of cultured way of fighting a war was responsible for why we could not immediately throw out the invading foreigner. But it got nothing to do. The country kept on fighting. If you see the last 800 years in a proper perspective, the Vijayanagara Empire, Shivaji, the Marathas, Rani Jhansi, there was Kattabomman in Tamil Nadu, Rani Chennamma in Karnataka, Rana Pratap in Rajasthan. Never gave up fighting. Only the technique of fighting was not suited for barbarians. Today also we have the same problem. You don't know what kind of threat you are facing today. People talk about secularism. Oh, who's there to teach Hindus secularism? When you are 100% Hindu, the Jews came, the Parsis came, we looked after them. In fact, the first resolution passed in Israel, when Israel was founded, the first parliament session, they passed a resolution, thank you India, you are the only country in the world where the Jews were not persecuted. When the British left India, they asked the Parsis, you see, we'll give you reservations like we have given to Anglo-Indians. They say, you don't worry, you go. We have been with Hindus, they never gave us trouble, they looked after us. Everywhere else we were butchered. Only place we are surviving is India. So, when you are 100% Hindu, you did not. persecute. How can you now talk about persecuting when you are 80%? But we have got a, because we don't know our history properly.